and get started. And we're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. And I have a flag. So if everybody would mute themselves and we can do the flag. Liz, you want to do that?
Yeah. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Awesome, thank you. And I believe that Gloria is going to give us a moment of silence. You have to unmute, Gloria. Gloria, you're not mute. You're muted, honey.
At the bottom of your screen, there's a microphone.
Bottom to the left, mommy.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, unfortunately, this time, once again, let's have a moment of silence for yet another death, a shooting death, I should say, at the hands of police. Let's have a moment of silence for peace and calm in Minnesota and for gun violence at large. Let's pray that we can find some solution to this epidemic.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I think that's more of a pandemic than an epidemic, Gloria. That is a real serious problem.
That's right.
I want to welcome everyone to the East Hillsborough Democratic Club meeting. Our guest speaker tonight is Andrew Lernan. However, he is fighting on the floor for the trans bill or against the trans bill, whatever you want to. But in his place is Morgan, and we're looking forward to hearing from her. I'm surprised that Andrew made it across the state of Florida and back on his bicycle, and he did. I'm just so surprised, but welcome to our club, and I hope that you enjoy. And after the club is over, and if you have any suggestions for speakers or things that we might want to look into, please feel free to contact me, email me. You know the club email address, and I would love to hear from you. We're kind of still in a lull with this Zoom meeting thing, and I would love to get out of it, but it is what it is. So I would like to introduce the board of directors. We have Chris Radulich, who is not on board yet, and his wife, Susan Radulich, who is the assistant treasurer. We also have Walt Seeley, who is on board. Wave, Walt. We have the secretary, Janet Mullen. Wave, Janet. Thank you, Janet, for all your hard work. Liz Congaro, who is our programs chair. She's the one that sets up all of our speakers. And again, if you know of somebody who you would like to hear speak, contact either myself or Liz so that we can get them on board. Emmett Walthall, who is not on board because he hates Zooms. And there's Gifford and Gloria, who are our membership chairs. Thank you so much for all the hard work. Mary Shepard, who is working with publicity, and she has everything out there, from newspapers to Facebook and neighborhood clubs. So I want to thank all of my board for working so hard to make this club work. So now we're going to go in. Representative Andrew Lernan could not be here tonight, but his right-hand person stuck to his hip, Morgan is. And so Liz, if you want to do your thing, go right ahead.
I'll just do a quick intro about Andrew for anyone who doesn't know him, but We all do, but just in case somebody doesn't know. He was elected in 2020 to the Florida House District 59. His committee assignments are with the Joint Legislative Auditing Committee. He's on the Judiciary Committee, the Criminal Justice and Public Safety Subcommittee, Early Learning and Elementary Education Subcommittee, and the Justice Appropriations Subcommittee. He has already co-sponsored many bills, such as recognizing veteran suicide and urging Congress to fund suicide prevention efforts, improving resource information for individuals with disabilities, protecting students with disabilities from excessive discipline, expanding access to behavioral and mental health care for veterans and military families, and strengthening Florida's veterans employment and training programs. He himself is a veteran, 10 years with the Navy, having 3 Middle East deployments. He's a local businessman from Valrico. He owns the Grade Power Learning Center. And of course, one of his personal interests is bicycling. And for those who haven't seen that, he just finished a across the state bicycle. He's got some legs, bicycling across the state. So he's a very active person, and I was proud to canvass for him and help him get elected. And I will again, and I'm sure a lot of us will. And I'm sorry he couldn't be here, but Morgan, I think that you will do a great job. And I will say one more thing. If anybody has any questions, we'll hold them to the end. And if you want to put them in the chat to me, and then at the end, I can just, bang Morgan with a bunch of questions at the end instead of everybody trying to raise their hand and talking over each other. So, okay, all on to you, Morgan. Thank you for joining us.
Perfect. Thank you so much for having me today. And I really appreciate your flexibility. Obviously, our schedules are a little bit crazy right now. So we were expecting this to go a little bit faster, but we actually did the calculation right before they went on the floor today. And if the maximum amount of time was used for every bill, this particular session would last 21 hours. So I think they're still going on a little faster than it could be. So that's good. Anyway, so I really am just going to give everybody an update on how session's going. It's been a really enlightening experience for both myself and the representative. This is my first session as well. For anyone who is not familiar with me, I am also a Riverview local. I grew up off of Boyette Road, so I've lived in Rep. Learned's district for most of my life as well. So this is my home. So it's been really cool to learn more about the process and get a really good inside view. We are feeling really lucky, especially this week, that a lot of our bills seem to be moving towards they're actually going to get over the finish line, which is nice. Rep is presenting his first bill on the floor on Thursday. That's going to be House Bill 1097. So that's a veterans related bill. It has to do with reciprocity for doctors in VA hospitals. It allows continuity of care between VA facilities and public facilities. So those doctors and physicians who are treating our veterans can continue treating them outside of the facility. Really a technical piece that we should be doing anyway. So that's going to be super helpful. So that's being heard on the floor. We didn't think that was going to go anywhere. So the fact that it's made it through all of its committees and all the way onto the floor is a really good sign that that one's gonna move all the way this year. Also, this week, we actually just got the schedule in for 420 or for Thursday, and the rep's number one priority bill, which is House Bill 429, our Purple Star bill, is being heard in its last committee on Thursday in the Judiciary or in the Education and Employment Committee. Super excited about that. If anyone's not familiar with that legislation, it's called Purple Star Campuses. It is targeted towards our military students. The average military child moves between 8 and 10 times during their career as a student between kindergarten and graduating from high school. And this is targeted to try to help military families that are moving into Florida identify schools that are going to be best equipped to help them with their unique situations. We see those students falling behind if they don't have transitional programs in place to help them come in the middle of the year. Sometimes we see students coming in from overseas or from other states in the middle of a semester. And it's super important that we are allowing our schools to focus the resources on those kids, and then also rewarding them, and then helping connect those students with the family. So that's what this bill does. It sets a minimum criteria for that program. We've been working really closely with the Department of Education, and have two great, it's a bipartisan bill. So Representative Maney is also on it on the House side, and then Senator Wright is doing the Senate side. So that's been really a wonderful experience being able to work with both of them. And we're in our last committee this on Thursday, so expecting to be able to move that to the floor hopefully next week if everything goes according to plan. So that's really wonderful as a freshman member of a minority party to see some things moving. It's really an incredible thing for us. Also, the rep has been moving HB 1399. This is a public records exemption for aquaculture. We're calling it the clam bill. So this is to help out some of our clam farmers that right now are basically required to tell their competition exactly what they're going to be producing every year. So it's a very technical piece of legislation that'll really just help out like Florida producers. And that one's ready to go to the floor on both the House and the Senate side. So that's probably going to be moving as well. And then he's got another couple pieces of legislation. And as was mentioned before, we're co-sponsoring quite a few pieces of really smart legislation that have been produced by Representative Learned's colleagues in the Democratic office. So very happy to see some of those get so much support from the Democratic caucus and continue to support it. To touch a little bit more on some of the more controversial things, obviously, one of the reasons that Rep couldn't be here right now is he's on the floor debating House Bill 1475, which if you're not familiar with this one, this is the trans student athlete ban. So it makes it so that trans girls cannot participate in sports that are not that they can't participate in sports that are consistent with their own their gender identity. So it's a really frustrating thing that this has made it all the way to the floor. Right now there are, I believe, 19 amendments that are being debated today. So they are hard at work. I'm looking up, I believe Representative Hardy is speaking right now on one of those amendments. So they're doing what they can to speak. Obviously, there's not a whole lot as a minority party that we can do once it's gotten to this point, but they're doing what they can to really get the message out, because it is very important that we're pushing back on these pieces of legislation. Most of the controversial stuff that they're going to hear was happening today. All of the bills that are happening on Thursday on the floor are for the most part relatively uncontroversial. So that should be a pretty fast session. There's a as the rep mentioned, there's as she mentioned before, 3 of our Representative Learned's committees are criminal justice related. He's not a lawyer, so we've been getting a fast track education through that process. He's visited a couple prisons this year already to try to get a firsthand look at the on the ground process inside the prisons, speaking directly to our Department of Corrections, working with the Clerk of Courts on a couple different bills. We recently had a piece featuring one of those Clerk of Courts bills, House Bill 565, I believe in the winter. I'll send that link over. I forget exactly what paper it was in, but talking about this piece that would address our fines and fees system for the Clerk of Courts. There's a couple different bills that are being addressing the ways that our Clerk of Courts system has not really modernized, and we really need to look at how fees are being addressed, how different fines and punishments are being distributed throughout our population, make sure that's being done fairly and equitably and efficiently. So that's one of the bills that we were really hoping to get over the finish line this year, and it hasn't seen any movement on the House side. Did a little bit on the Senate side, but that's definitely one we're looking at bringing back again for next year. I'm just checking off my list of things. There is I know we were speaking a little bit about gun violence and stuff earlier this year. One of the other frustrating bills that we're going to be hearing this week is a preemption bill that doesn't allow local municipalities to create their own gun control legislation, that they are preempting that to the state on every level. So that's going to be heard in judiciary on Thursday. I was just reviewing that because we again just got the schedule, so that's going to be a really important one that we're going to be looking at, again on that controversial note. But we are still seeing some really good progress on the other side. So it's important in one of these years where we don't have a whole lot of control to look at the places we are able to make some positive growth. And as Liz and Donna both said, that it's really just important that we can try to make sure that the representative and the other members of the caucus are pushing back where we can, making progress where we can as well, so that we can go back and campaign on these issues again in 2022 and try to add more members to the caucus, which will hopefully allow us to make some more progress. Ultimately, we need more people in order to have the votes. So the only other thing I definitely wanted to make sure, we just announced our summer fellowship is starting on it's on May 10th, I believe, is our first day. So we're accepting applications right now. The link for that is on our Facebook page. I can send it out to anyone who's interested. We're especially looking for like college students. So if you guys know anyone, we'll accept high school students as well. If you've got anyone that's really, really interested, that we're really excited to be developing this program, get people involved in the lawmaking process. So anyway, with that, I think that's all I have as far as like just bill updates and this current session of the House. Does anybody have any questions?
Yes, we have several questions.
Awesome.
You didn't think you were going to get off easy now, did you?
Oh, no, I didn't expect that.
Okay, now we hope you can answer them for the representative. Will the reciprocity bill for military VA provider involve coordination with VA Community Care Network addressing cutting down the red tape with the authorization process? This is one of the barriers to continuity of care for veterans.
It's a great question. I'm not super familiar with that whole process, but this bill was designed by the Florida Veterans Affairs Department. And the whole idea of it was basically to make it so that these care providers that already are able to practice in a VA facility, to reduce the time and the red tape that they're having to go through when they have to practice outside of the VA facility. I'm not sure. So it is targeting at the physicians themselves that are going to be doing this, the care. I'm not sure specifically about the patient end of that. Obviously, the whole point being, like, if you are a veteran, and the example that's often given is like you had to go to, say, like a burn unit for an emergency, and you'd already been seeing a specialist at a VA, that now that VA physician could come to a burn unit that's not a part of the VA, and they could still participate in your care provision, in the care that you're being provided with. I'm not sure about the patient end of that. I'd have to check on that for you.
Do you know what the Republicans' take on that is? Since they're always pro-military and pro-VA.
The only pushback that we've really gotten is from FMA, because they don't want to reduce any of the fees that they're getting through our through the licensing part of this, and it just reduces license fees. But overall, I mean, we've gotten a lot of really good support from both sides of the aisle. So I think that's the only organization that we've seen any sort of real pushback on. And even there, it hasn't been a ton. I think it hasn't been one of the priority bills on the Senate side, so it's been a little bit hard to get traction over there. But now that it will be heard on the floor, they can, and because it's already passed through one committee on the Senate side, they can pick it up and take it to the floor at any time that they want over on the Senate side. So
okay, great. What are the odds that HB 7041 passes?
That's a great question. I haven't heard any changes from the last time that it was voted on, really. that it seems for the most part that the support it's gotten is the support it's going to continue to get. So we're just going to have to keep tracking it and keep pushing where we can. That's the one unfortunate.
Yeah.
One of many unfortunate pieces, but definitely one that we're tracking pretty closely. There's certain amendments that we're looking at. It has to go over to the Senate side, so we'll see what it looks like when it comes back to the House to get voted on again.
What was the number of the gun law preemption bill? Do you know?
Give me 1 second. I have it right here. I was literally just prepping this book. It's 1409.
Okay. Thank you. What's your take on any of the union busting bills passing?
They all stink, but they unfortunately have a decent amount of support.
Mhm.
We're gonna keep pushing. We haven't seen a lot of them up in the House, which I think is a good sign. There's definitely been more movement on the Senate side. So as long as it really just depends on the traction, there's definitely been a lot more. There's been stuff that's been a priority on the Senate side that has not gotten traction in the House and vice versa. So it really will be up to the president and the speaker and how they're communicating with each other about what they're going to prioritize. We've seen the same thing with HB1 and some of the environmental bills. There's a right to farm bill, and there's some communications about that and what is going to pass with HB1 and the right to farm, and a lot of that stuff is happening behind closed doors. So we'll see what happens. We can vote on it when it gets to the House, but we haven't seen them come over yet. So
Speaking of HB1, one of our members called Senator Boyd's office in Tallahassee and asked the staffer what position the senator had on that. No response. Have you heard anything?
From Senator Boyd specifically?
Have you heard about this, you know, how they're reacting, I suppose?
It is unfortunate, like whenever, so it's interesting when I talk to the other staffers that work for members of the Democratic caucus. So like I'm on a floor with 6 other members in their LAs, and the floor above us and the floor below us. So we are able to kind of communicate a lot with each other. And we answer the phones all the time. And if I call some of the Republican staffers, like they don't always answer the phones because it's just not how their office runs. So a lot of times they don't have to answer, or they've made a decision not to answer for the representative. And ultimately that's true. Like they can't make a call about it specifically. I do talk to Republican staffers about specific legislation, like will they be supporting this specific part of this legislation? And even a staffer to staffer relationship, like you're getting, the rep's going to have to talk to the rep about it. I don't really know where they're standing on that. And some of that does have to do with the relationship. I do find it hard to believe that a staffer hasn't spoken to their representative about HB1 in particular, but I wouldn't be surprised if you got that response from another bill that's gotten less press and it being an honest response, to be frank, because if they don't have a close relationship, like I'm very lucky that I have such a tight relationship with my boss, and he takes my opinion into account a lot, and I know where he stands on almost every issue. We have a very open relationship on those things, but that's not the reality for some offices, so they may not be able to speak to it. But again, I find it very hard to believe that would hold true for HB1 in particular. So
okay. What about the FRS bill?
Is this the resolution on the one that was on the floor today?
Mr. H, elaborate, please.
Senate Bill 84. I haven't seen a House companion, but everyone's wondering if people are talking about a House companion that hasn't been filed yet.
Give me 1 second.
It takes out the traditional pension FRS system, and everyone knew would go into the investment style plan,
Oh, yes.
which then will kill people who are on a pension.
Yes, I have heard about this bill. So it looks like it passed unfavorably through its last committee in the Senate. I'd have to look on, oh yeah, it was just withdrawn. No, that's an amendment, sorry. I'm looking at the online system as opposed to my standard system right now.
It passed the Senate, but there's no House companion yet.
Yeah, but it's not in, oh yeah, it's in messages right now. Yeah, that's a question. They'll have to figure out a place to put it on something else that already exists, or they'll have to put it on a committee bill. I haven't heard discussions about how that mechanically will happen. I know it's extremely unpopular and people don't really want, obviously we don't want to mess with people's retirements. This is really important. So yeah, I mean, we'll definitely be pushing back against that one, but I haven't heard anything about the specific mechanics of it, unfortunately.
Okay, we have another question about the unemployment process and the and compensation. So we know the system is still broken. It's not only a problem for the unemployed people, but it's also a problem for employers who are hiring and can't get applicants to respond. Is rep involved in any of that, or have an opinion?
Yeah, well, we have our constituent services person, Valerie works as our district secretary. I know several of you guys know her. She's a rep star. She works for Rep Hattersley before Rep Learned. So she's very familiar with the system. She's been working really closely. We've helped a ton of people get access to unemployment that were having issues with their account. So as far as like on the front end, if anyone knows anyone that's having issues with unemployment, like please don't hesitate to have them reach out to us, because we have direct lines and cell phone numbers for the people who can look them up on the back end. I've been working really closely with this one gentleman who was recently able to access benefits for 24 weeks last year that he had previously been unable to access. So these can be really life-changing calls, and it's just because he gave us a ring. So like encourage people to call even if they don't think it's worth it. Like it sometimes can be. As far as fixing the program going forward, unfortunately, it's something that really has to be done in statute. The department itself is not going to make any major changes until we tell them that they have to make those changes. There's a couple good bills. I know Rep Escamani had a couple amendments that she was trying to add on to appropriations request last week that would have increased unemployment benefits and sped up the process by which DOE has to report back to people, but neither of those moved forward. So we just have to keep pushing. Eventually, this is something that if the more Floridians speak out against it, this shouldn't be a partisan issue. The whole point of unemployment insurance is so that people can be confident that they're going to be able to keep a roof over their heads and food on their plates if they lose their job through no fault of their own. So we need to make sure that that's fulfilling those requirements and keep pushing for people.
Regarding the Piney Point situation, wondering how the representative feels about the state using federal COVID money to handle the mess there. It's kind of, and they're talking about, they want to close it altogether. I just heard on the news a little while ago. I don't know about that, using the COVID money for that, when this was something that should have been taken care of a long time ago. And the state has certainly been aware of all of this. And now we end up using that federal money that should be going toward vaccines and, you know, other things that COVID related, and now we have to use it for that. Does the rep have any opinion there? I know he's not on any environmental committees.
Yeah, to be straightforward, we haven't spoken directly about that specific issue. I know that he feels pretty strongly that the COVID money needs to be used to help get our kids back in schools and businesses back on their feet. There's a reason that we got this money from the federal government, and As far as the Piney Point issue in particular, I hadn't actually heard that they were planning on using any COVID funds for that. So it's definitely something we'll be looking into. We've been following the actual mechanics of what's on the ground pretty closely. There's been some legislative update calls on that. Very frustrating. It's because there's so many things to juggle. Oftentimes these things lose track at the state level. People in Representative Learned's position, oftentimes, even if that's part of their responsibility, until there's an actual problem, it doesn't get flagged. So that's one of the reasons it's so important to continue investing on the front end with the funds that our state is actually producing, as opposed to using these emergency funds, which really should be going to everyday people and teachers and our small business owners, the people who really need it and struggled over the past year. So I'll look into that and I'll let you know. That's definitely something that's a cause for concern. If we're getting all kinds of appropriations requests, like our hospital, one of the hospital associations is like, we need $2.5 billion, please. And it's very frustrating when we hear like things like our hospitals need a lot of money and our senior care facilities need a lot of money, and instead that they're considering using money to clean up an environmental waste problem that should have been solved long before this.
Yeah. Department of Education, and so our representative is involved since he has his own business in education. And Hillsborough County just laying off thousands of teachers. Our own Mr. H has his issues with them. Just wondering, his opinions, and if he co-sponsors any bills regarding that, should be taken very seriously since he is so involved. And just wondering, if anything, he's on a subcommittee, I believe. What's going on there? Anything in there we should know about?
He's on the early learning and childhood education. So this is covering mostly like elementary school age and some pre-K. I believe we've actually already had our last subcommittee meeting within there. As far as like specific bills regarding like the actual like educators and pay, or was there any specific area that you had questions about?
No, just generally speaking.
Yeah, there's we obviously have concerns over the fact, I personally have concerns over the fact that we raised incoming teachers' salaries last year. We were all hoping that we could continue raising veterans teachers' salaries this year. That obviously didn't happen. So it's something we'll continue pushing forward. Department of Education they have their own priorities. We've been working closely with them on a couple different issues. 429 has probably been our closest one. That's again, that Purple Star bill for the military kids. Within Hillsborough County, we had a couple of different appropriations requests that were planned. However, neither of those got factored into either the House or the Senate budget, which effectively made them dead before either budgets were presented, unfortunately. So we're going to continue to keep an eye on it. Education is obviously a huge priority for the representative. So we were very happy that he was able to be on that one committee and show a voice for that. But we don't believe he's going to be meeting on that again this session unless they call a special meeting. So.
Okay. And just last question is kind of a personal note. How does he feel being a freshman? I wonder if he shared any of his experiences with you. Was he disillusioned? Was he happy? Was he pleasantly surprised? Or, can you reach across the aisle? Are they giving him like hell, or what's going on?
No, he seems to be doing really well. I've had a couple of different reps tell them that from across the aisle be like, he's my favorite Democrat. And we always know like he's very good at even though he's very progressive on some issues, he can frame them in points that a lot of Republicans have an easier time understanding. He understands the economic lens. As many of you know, he was raised by 2 Republicans, so I'm sure that helps with that perspective. I think the one thing that he's always mentioned and he talks about on these calls is like, it's just strange when people that you don't know say hi to you and know who you are. And he's expressed that he's like, I don't feel important enough for people who I don't know to know who I am. So I think he's still a little shell shocked on that respect. But I mean, he's a social guy. He's having a good time getting to know people. I think this is a good start to hopefully long career for someone who can make some real positive change for Florida. So
Well, tell him we appreciate his keeping us informed, and we have his back. So we thank him very much.
absolutely. And anyone who ever has issues, like, please feel free to reach out to our office. Valerie is always good for constituent-based services. Like, even if you're not sure if we can help, we'll either tell you that we can't, or we'll forward you to the person who can help on certain things. Sometimes it just takes someone with a .gov email address to email the right person to get things moving for you. So please never hesitate to reach out. That's our #1 priority, is making sure we keep an open line of communication. So
Right.
and thank you so much for having us. I'm sorry that he couldn't. They are still debating 1475 on the floor right now.
That's an important bill. Let him stay on it as long as it needs to, you know. But thank you
Morgan.
very much. We appreciate it.
Morgan, before you leave, can you post in the chat room your contact information so that the members can know exactly how to get in touch with you or Andrew, Representative Andrew Learn, I'm sorry, but you know, you get to know
People
somebody
tell you
personally.
to say Andrew.
I know,
Get yelled at by the rest of the government if I don't use proper titles.
I know, he is so great,
But
but yes, check your chat box, keep the information Morgan's going to put in there for us all. And if you have questions, feel free.
oh, I'm sorry. I just put it just to Liz. Hold on.
Oh no, put it all to us.
That's all right. I have his personal cell phone.
I do too. I think half of us
All
do.
right, so that's my email address. So if you ever need it, you can definitely reach out to me there. And then that's the office line, which forwards directly. So the best way to get me is my email. The best way to get Valerie is that phone number, because it will forward either to the office or directly to her cell phone. So either one of those is a great way. And we'll forward it back if it's something for her. She'll send it to me and vice versa. So.
Morgan, you're awesome. Thank you so much for coming on board and telling us about what's going on. And please tune in anytime. We're here the second Tuesday of every month. Hopefully not for long on Zoom. I hope that we can start meeting in person, but yes.
We're hoping that too. He does, and the rep, for anyone who doesn't know, we do town halls on the first Thursday of every single month. And those are still virtual for now. We always post them on Facebook, but if you ever, once, hopefully the pandemic numbers continue to go down, and hopefully we'll be able to do them in person again. So
wouldn't that be awesome? Wouldn't that be awesome? Thank you so much for joining us. And with that, thank you, Liz, for inviting. And next month, our speaker is Liz?
Janelle Taylor, who is a journalist on WMNF radio, and she has a weekly talk show about democratic issues, and so it's really cool. I listened to it myself for the first time, so I was excited to get her to talk about her show and what she does for as an activist.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well. And I heard Rob L'Oreal was just fired again. So hopefully they'll bring him back. But can I quickly go into the Treasury's report? Walt, are you still on?
You're muted, Walt.
I am here.
Okay.
You are there. Hi, Walt.
Hey, how are y'all?
Good.
We have, as of today, we have approximately $3,456 in our treasury.
I kind of like the $300,000.
Yeah.
we would have been rocking the Republican Party, wouldn't we? Oh goodness. So we're not doing bad. We're just not doing great. We need to get back into meetings so that we can have our fundraisers and so that we can support our candidates. Walt, you had anything else?
No, that's it. I checked the mailbox today. No checks. We did get one membership via PayPal, but that's included in that total I gave you. So
Okay.
anyone who wants to pay dues, you know how to do it. So
Yes,
check
please.
or PayPal.
Or donations. So we haven't had any fundraisers for a year. So, you know, and our money goes towards, you know, helping our candidates get elected. So just keep that in mind when you give to the Democratic Club. Secretarial minutes. I know Janet sent them out, and I believe Chris sent them out. Is there anyone who did not see them and has any questions on those? We actually vote on those during our board meetings, which is, if you ever want to join in, always the first Monday of every month, unless it's a holiday. And so y'all are more than welcome to join in, volunteer, be part of the board. You know, we do need board members. Bettina's not on, but whether she likes it or not, we're still collecting recipes. And the recipes are going to go in a recipe book. And I know that she's collected a few here and there, and we need a few more. So if you have a favorite recipe, let's get those in so that we can actually make a cookbook. We're going to sell the cookbook and, you know, for profit. And, you know, we need a fundraiser, folks. We need to get our candidates elected. And these are just some of the small things that we do. For new business, I would like to hand it over to Scott Hotterstein. Mr. H has been doing a legislative update for other clubs, and I want him to tell us about it so that we can get involved as well. So Scott, do you mind?
Sure. Thanks, Donna. So good evening, everyone. I think I know everyone by now on the call. I'm Scott Hottenstein. I ran for District 57, lost, still wanted to remain involved. And actually the South Shore Dems were like, come help. Like they did what Donna just did, like join our board. So I did. And then they're like, you know a lot about legislation. Can you keep us in touch? So we're about 2/3 of the way through the Florida legislative session up in Tallahassee. And what I've been doing is just following news reports and then getting onto the website for both the Florida House and the Florida Senate and tracking the legislation that's going on and then kind of ranking them. It used to be 1 to 5. But it's somewhere probably, let me look. We're up to 34 bills that I've been tracking one way or another, mainly because they're so awful. So I share that with the South Shore Dems. Someone said you should share this with more people. So the DEC gets it. They put a little of it in their weekly message. And I think Chris has been, I always send it when I remember to Donna and Chris, and I think they've put, kind of shared it in a slightly different format. I'm bad at formatting things. But just some highlights. So every time you hear a Republican say it's a pandemic, we don't have any money to do anything. Our budget last year was $92.3 billion. The governor's budget this year started at $96.6 billion, and that did not include the $10 billion coming from federal COVID-19 money. So we are well above last year's budget. So there is no money hardship. So when you hear about Medicaid expansion, can't do it, too costly, we could have brought $14 billion of money into Florida over 5 years. Now I sound like a candidate, I'm sorry. but $14 billion of federal money over 5 years, and CARES money would have paid for it. And we said no, because I don't know, because it's too costly. 850,000 people without healthcare. The anti-riot bill that passed the House. They had a day-long committee hearing last Friday. I don't know if y'all know this, but the House and the Senate both have to pass versions of a bill and agree, and then it could go to the governor. The anti-protest bill was not moving in the Senate. It had two committees. One was chaired by a Democrat, Senator Pizzo. He was like, we're not giving this bill a hearing, which means it would be dead. And then a Republican, actually, not my favorite Republican either, said no. So they yanked it from those committees, put it in another committee, gave it a day-long hearing, and now they're going to vote on it tomorrow. We got one Republican in committee. We need 4 more tomorrow on the floor. I'm not sure if we'll get that. The voter suppression bills, and I could go on and on. Morgan talked about a lot of things. Tons of local preemption bills. The public education bill, they're going to put a stake through the heart of public education. They're taking away scholarship money. They're calling sex education pornographic and requiring parents to opt their students into it in order to get it. They're union busting. The trans bill, there's a couple of those going through. So I've been following along. If you want to shoot me an email, I'll put my email in the chat. If you don't see this from other sources, and you just want to see it, it's up to like 10 pages now. But it'll show you what we're doing up in Tallahassee. I put a little of the federal stuff in. I'm not quite up to speed on what county commission's doing, but I list where the bill's at, which committee. I give you a link to click on, which gives you all the committee members' names. And then I give a recommendation. If you want a call to action, here's who you should email or call. So if you'd like to see that, shoot me an email. I'll put my email in the chat. And thank you, Donna.
Thank you so much, Scott. And I do watch your emails, and I do send emails to the legislators, not just Andrew Learn, but I have a tendency to send emails to the opposite side because they need to hear from us, every one of them. They need to know what their constituents are thinking, and that it includes the Republican Party. So, feel free, let them know. That's the only way.
I have a comment. When we go canvassing, okay, let's say to parents, okay, I think it would be a good idea. We have slate cards, right? But it might be a good idea to have a slate card with talking points about what bills passed, what laws passed that are going to affect the everyday person. Because by the time figure for the next, 2022, we're going to be out canvassing probably in the summer or so.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it would help parents to know that public education money is being stolen from them and exactly how. Because a lot of them don't pay attention to what's going on. And when it comes time to vote for your school board, or it comes time to vote for your local people, they forgot or need to know what's going on. And not only is slate card good, and here's the contact for the person, but they were talking about this on the women's club too, that it would be a great idea to have a postcard or something for us canvassers, or even on the phone banking, when we target those people, to say, did you know? And it might open people's eyes, especially parents, let's say, for what's going on with education, to say, oh my God, I didn't know that their kids' education is being affected by who you vote for. And a lot of us can't keep track like you of all of those bills. It's just too much. It's a lot for everyday people. But if we had, bullet points to rattle off, and then we can go into detail and have a good conversation at the front door, I think that would help. And I don't know if we can collaborate in some way to create those things.
Absolutely. And I don't know if y'all saw, I kind of said something on Facebook, but I resigned from my teaching job, which is heartbreaking for me. But I was lied to about personal safety of myself and my family, and I just can't do that. So I've got all this extra time, and what I want to see is something that FDP should be doing, but they're not. We're getting started with the DEC, where we have all these votes and bills. We have the newspaper articles. We've got the links to them, where it's not us, it's the news telling people what's going on. And what I want to do is crosswalk it to social media and messaging, so that we can explain that the Democrats are the party who will get things done for the people. And after a little brainstorm with Ione, because I was mad as hell, I forget which bill it was, but what we came up with was hashtag Florida Republicans don't give a damn. And I think that should be on everything. Florida Republicans don't give a damn. 850,000 people don't have health care, and will pay, federal government will pay for Medicaid expansion. No, Florida Republicans don't give a damn. Fix the unemployment system? No. Environmental contamination at Piney Point? They don't give a damn. Their failing prison system? A Republican in a committee hearing said the prison system is failing. Who cares? They don't give a damn. Your rights to peaceful assembly, don't give a damn. Your voting rights, don't give a damn. Anything that's going on, they literally don't give a damn. And I think that is kind of a harsh message, but it's true. We have the proof. Like, I'm collecting the proof, and we just need to use it to message. And you're right, it's a palm card, it's a tweet, it's a Facebook post, it's talking points for anytime someone gets in front of a TV camera or a YouTube video. And it should be someone that, not a retired Navy guy who's not teaching anymore. This should be FDP doing it. But honestly, we're doing it here in Hillsborough. So let's share it. So I'm 100% with you, Liz. Anyone who wants to help, I'm daydreaming. I'm like, if I could have some of my former students, work for me for the summer, I'd have this done, dusted. I'd give it out for free. You don't have to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to a political consultant. I had some college and high school students do it for you for free. But it's so necessary. It's so easy once you know what to do. So yeah, I'm with you 100%, Liz.
Yeah, I mean, even just, local community things, locals, the county things, state things, it doesn't have to be a federal thing. I mean, it all filters down, but meanwhile, what we do on a local level affects us more than what happens nationally, I think. And it's a good place for us to start, when we go canvassing. And I'm ready because, I got the mouth. and yeah, we're ready to go. I mean, I want to get the card, the ID card, and just talk to people. And even if we're at voter registration booths, right? I mean, we're going to have a message of what Democrats are for, not what we're against. We had that with Trump. That's gone now. Now we have to say Democrats' message are we're for the good things that you need. And if we have the proof, like you said, to back it up, then there's no dispute there, and we're talking to other Democrats, and we're talking to people who are on the fence, NPAs and independents. And if we can get those people to understand, you know, this is how these people are voting and it's affecting your life. And I think on a one-to-one basis, it really does have an impact. So let's work together and get something together with our own or on individual clubs, whatever. It doesn't matter. It all goes in the same pot at the end. So thank you, Scott. I mean, I'm so sorry that you don't have your livelihood there anymore. And, you know, I hope you're okay. But what service you would provide by doing this for the Democratic Party is invaluable. And I appreciate that you even want to do that after what you've been through. And thank you.
I've got my Navy pension. We haven't been spending that much money. We crunched the numbers, my wife and I. So I'm personally fine. I miss teaching, but I want to make things better. This is my way of still contributing to the community.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're doing a great job, Scott. Thank you so much. And, you know, you're a hard worker. And you will get back into the school system. You will teach again. I know it. I know it. So the spring fling is coming up. And again, that is another opportunity to support our candidates. Help me remember, Janet, do we have a full table? I know Chris and Susan said they were going, and Liz and Bettina are going. So we have a full table as the club. However, there is a virtual event that you can attend. And I'm going to ask Sarah if she wouldn't mind coming on and talking about that virtual event.
Yeah, thanks, Donna. So we do have a virtual event.
Tell everybody who you are.
Sorry, I'm Sarah Grosdor. I'm the secretary of the DEC. I'm also the I'm the co-chair of this year's Spring Fling. So we have, as most of you know, we have a live event happening concurrently with a virtual event, and the live event sold out in like 3 seconds. But we do have still tickets available for the virtual event. They're $46 a piece. And we have a special sponsorship arrangement for clubs and caucuses. I know you guys already did a sponsorship for the live event, but at no extra cost other than the cost of virtual tickets. If you can recruit 5 more people to go if you can recruit 5 people to attend the virtual event, that is considered a virtual event sponsorship. You'll get what's called a Gardenia sponsorship, and that will give you an ad, a digital ad on during the program. Right now, we only have a couple of ads, so there's not a lot of competition for ad space. So everybody will see your ad if you do that. And once again, it's just the costs of the individual tickets. So there's no added cost for that sponsorship level for the clubs and caucuses. And don't hold me to this because we don't know for sure, but it is kind of looking more and more like 2 of our guest speakers. We have Congressman Charlie Crist, Representative Anna Escamani, and Representative Michelle Rayner. They are our 3 guest speakers, and it's starting to look more and more like Rep Escamani and Rep Rayner are still going to be in legislative session. So I think they may only, they're definitely joining us. So during the program, we will hear from them, but it is looking more and more like they might only be joining us virtually. In which case, the folks that are attending the virtual event will get to socialize with them, and not the folks from the live event. So there's plenty of reasons to join the virtual event if you don't already have a live event ticket. And you guys have been great supporters of all the events we do, so I can't thank you all enough. But if there's anybody that didn't get a ticket, come to the virtual event. I'll be there. Matt will be there. You can come hang out with us.
There's going to be lunch pool again, right?
Yeah, it is going to be lunch pool. If you haven't attended a lunch pool event yet, it's not a Zoom call. It's situated so that when you walk in, or when you log in, you see a map of tables, like a bird's eye view of a bunch of different tables. And you can double click on the tables and it puts you into a small chat room of 5 or 6 people. And then if you're done with that table, you can go to the next table. And there's even different floors. There's an elevator button that you can push and you could go to another floor and see all the people on those at those tables. So it's neat. You do get the opportunity to socialize. It's not like a Zoom call where everybody's talking over each other. And I've actually found that you get to have more meaningful conversations with people at these lunch pool events than you normally would at an in-person event where there's 600 people in the room and everybody's looking around at who do I talk to next? Who do I talk to next? So there's advantages to everything, but the lunch pool event is pretty cool. So that's it. That's my shtick. Thanks, Donna.
Well, I'll tell you what, the club did put in for a table, an in-person table, and only 4 people could attend. And Chris and Susan immediately jumped in. I have another event that I had already paid for and far in advance. And then Liz and Bettina are also joining. So there's only 4 people. However, the lunch pool event, the last time I attended, it was so much fun because you jump in and then all of a sudden you're sitting in front of a guy that looks like Donald Trump and you get to tell him what you think of him. I loved every minute of it. And I had more fun with the lunch pool than I did with the in-person meetings. But if I could, I would be in the in-person because I miss people. But I'm happy that they are coming. But I'm sorry I can't even attend the virtual, but I can't urge everyone enough. If you can, pay it up. What's the website to join?
So if you just go to the Hillsborough County Democrats website, it's www.hillsboroughcountydemocrats.org. That's our main website. Just when you get to the homepage, just wait like 5 seconds and the Spring Fling thing will come up. Click that and it'll take you to the Spring Fling ticket page. And when you place your order for tickets, there is a question that asks, are you affiliated with a particular sponsorship? So if you're going to buy tickets to the virtual event, right there indicate that you're with the East Hillsborough Democrats.
My dude behind me, he needs you.
Now the in-person event though is going to be held outside, right?
It's at the Sail Pavilion or the Sail Plaza, which is it's basically that little bar that's right next to the convention center.
Okay.
So yeah, it is outside. There's very, very limited space. We could only have a maximum of 250 people at that event. And all those tickets were sold in like 2.5 days or something crazy like that.
What if it rains?
If there is a backup plan. There is. I can't tell you exactly what it is right now, but there is a backup plan if it does rain.
All right. No
We're just going to cross our fingers that doesn't happen. But
well, I've been spreading the word on social media for you guys. I did Instagram from the club with the link, and so Facebook, everywhere we're sharing it, as much as we can right before it is. So.
Thank you. Well, we'll also have. So last time at Kennedy King, Donna mentioned the Trump table where we had a Trump impersonator. He was so funny.
Oh yeah, I had a blast.
Right? But we're also going to have a table that is dedicated to communicating with the folks that are at the live event. So you'll. Oh. Yeah. I mean, we will expect that since there's only going to be 5 seats at that table available, we'll hope that people will just come and go and give up other people the chance to talk with folks at the live event. But it's not going to be, we're going to see everything that the live event sees in the program. And we are going to get the chance to socialize a little bit with the folks.
So then we can also, as the in-person, can we see the virtual too if we log in?
So you'll have to, we haven't designated the person that's going to be doing the communicating between, because we'll have to have someone that has a laptop that's logged into Lunchpool and that's walking around and talking to the different folks, sort of interviewing, but yeah, well, if you find that person, and I'll, as soon as we designate who that person is going to be, I think it's going to be Marcus Kleva, but don't hold me to that.
And is the virtual going to be recorded for later viewing? Well, I'm only asking because now you're saying
Yes.
where 2 of the speakers won't be in person, so we'd like to be able to hear what they had to say.
And so everyone at the live event will hear the speakers that are coming to the virtual.
Okay.
Everyone's going to see the same exact program.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll have screens up there that are
Okay.
broadcasting Rep. Escamani and Rayner if they can't actually attend in person. So everyone will see the same program.
Okay. Good. Very good.
I wish I could be there, but I'm going to be on the golf course all day. It's a hard life. What can I say?
Excuse me, the PF Auto Glass is doing very well.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it's all about advertising, but I paid for that before the spring fling came about, and what can I say? But
Right. You'll be with us in spirit, Donna.
I definitely will. You know that. So are there any other announcements, anything going on out there that the club should know? Unmute yourself and speak up. Nothing. Nobody has anything else to say. If you haven't paid your membership dues, keep in mind that that's how our club operates, and we have to pay the DEC for memberships at the end of the year. So if you haven't paid, pay. We need it. But other than that, if there's no more discussions, we can stay on and just chit chat, and if you'd like. But I am done. So I'm going to close this meeting.
All right. Thank you all for coming. We appreciate it. We'll see you next month.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Love y'all. Miss you all. Can't wait to see you in person.